As vice president, I'm going to hand this meeting over to Jerry to lead for the time being.
Okay, for the time being. So just a couple of things that I was wanting to do today was to bring us up to date. Our conversation was about, well, what's already been planned down there at Wabachi Park. And so the mayor got a bunch of stuff here so we can familiarize ourselves with it. And also then the two big ones down there to help us see some of what the landscaping would look like. And what was originally anticipated, the way this would be laid out, like with parking or with places where there'd be shade and so on. So there's been quite a few departures from that, but it still gives us some kind of sense of what could be guidance for us. So that's one thing I wanted. The other thing I wanted to do is just update you on what was happening with after December 18th, then what happened with the council and what happened with the money and what's going and what's not going and that sort of thing. So I wanted to be sure to tell you about that. And
Can we do this first?
and that was mainly what I want to do. Now, back over to you, Vice President. You want to talk about minutes?
So Nancy has provided us with minutes from the December 2nd and the December 18th meeting. If everybody wants to give those these are yours. I have a copy, Jerry. If everybody wants to kind of give those a once over, and then we can make a motion to approve them. So Denise, I'm not sure if you've kept up with us on our live stream or not and our meetings, but the majority of these minutes are just pertaining to all of the work that Jerry has done with all of the play sets and money and numbers and what it's going to take to get things moving and all the mulch, which in case you didn't know is like super duper expensive. Never
Do you
would
want
have.
copies?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve both the minutes as written.
I will second that motion as soon as Jerry tells me, are those numbers looking correct to you, Jerry?
Yeah, I was looking at, yep.
Okay, then I will second that.
Okay, so what would you prefer? What order of things? You want me to be talking about some of this stuff and us just circle around and so on? Do you want to get officers elected first? What's your preference?
I would prefer to do officers first, just that way we can get that out of the way and we all know our new rules. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, yeah. All in favor?
Oh, all in favor of approving the minutes for the December 2nd and the December 18th park board minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Jerry was so kind as to send out the email that talked about like the different roles and kind of maybe what it would look like moving forward in the president role and the vice president role and the secretary role, and how we could all kind of have our own, I would say, niche within the group of what we would like to hone in on as our thing. I love that idea. I don't know how everybody else feels about that. If we kind of wanted to just take a second to say, is that something that you want to do? Do you want to go back to traditional rules? Do you want to do this where everyone has their own niche, their own place? I vote to have our own thing. I like that. I feel like we would get more accomplished that way if everybody had their like specialized area. So that's my vote on that. Jerry?
I feel the same way, and it's not that then all of a sudden by default you have to do it all. But instead, you're the idea maker and you're the person that's keeping track of keeping us on target. And then, of course, you'd still turn to the board and say, can you help? And particularly if we have a recruitment person, maybe turning to the recruitment person and saying, what do you know about what the school can do for us or different things like that. So this way, we have ongoing functions, like it's almost like committee chairs making a report each month about what you've been thinking about your area and how's it going and what help do you need and do you anticipate a budget need or anything like that. I'm agreeing with you. I think it'll give us more forward momentum with each person thinking about an area that's particularly important to them.
Nancy, your thoughts?
Oh, I'm all for it. That's fine. Yeah. Because I think if you get in your own niche, you're going to work better at it.
I agree.
I'm for it too. I felt like we kind of were doing that before, but it's kind of like more official
Yeah.
and organized. So I'm for it.
Tony?
I'm good.
Love it.
Okay. Then I am going to make a motion that we accept Jerry's new roles. And we can talk about that tonight, what those roles look like, but versus traditional roles.
I second.
I'm not
All-
really sure how to do that motion because that motion's not explaining anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I don't
need
know how to word
I need a
it.
motion that's going to
Um,
explain what you mean. New roles. Okay, go on. with what you
New
mean.
roles with board members.
Or new board member titles.
There we go. We'll go with that. New board member titles. I was going to say where we assume different responsibilities, but that's pretty vague too.
Could you go like committees maybe? Sort of. I don't know.
In a way, each person is sort of a committee chair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, maybe the motion be like that, that each board member will now become a committee chair.
Versus traditional
Yeah.
officers.
You still, I guess, by statute, you still have to have a president and a secretary.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you still have to have a.
But and they
but-
will be in these
Yeah.
new acting positions, but they just won't be traditional in that sense, I guess.
Okay.
They still would be, but you're just talking about doing chair people for all the other things for the things that we do, like, somebody that's responsible for trails wants to maybe work mostly on trails. Somebody that wants to work mostly on playgrounds, someone wants to work mostly on Twilight, I think,
Yes.
isn't that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
Do you have a
so
way you would like to put it?
I don't know, but I just know for the motion, I need something that tells me
Sounds
what we're talking
solid.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that's more complete than just saying, roles.
Anybody got one that's really in their head? Otherwise, I'll throw a thought.
We could ask
that's in my head.
GPT.
You know what?
Okay, so,
We could attach Jerry's descriptions in the minutes. You think that would be more
Okay.
clear?
okay.
Okay, that'd be good.
All
You
right.
mean that says, secretary primarily minutes, but
Yeah, like
we're gonna add to that.
programming chairperson, public communications,
Okay.
fundraising.
Chairpersons do program advertising, but okay, I can do that.
Okay.
I'll do that, okay. Motion's gonna be that way.
Now, if that's with a motion and a second, it can still be amended. Like someone will say, how about if we put this together with that and that sort of thing.
So the motion's gonna be for chairpersons, we'll be doing chairpersons for programming, advertising, fundraising, grants, personal donations, etc., recruitment chair people. And that's mainly what it is, right?
Yeah.
And each chairperson would be spearheading the area of responsibility, including being the idea creators.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody understand
I
that?
think that makes sense, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, is there anything there that feels like it got left out? Or anything that should be combined? Or discarded? You know, so there's the motion, but then the motion can be changed.
So is the chairperson to do programming, advertising, fundraising for grants, personal donations, etc.? Is that all one?
No, but
Okay.
That's separate.
I don't think so, yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's a lot.
that would be a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah.
That's a lot.
So,
It just, each chairperson would be spearheading their responsibility, I think is how I'm gonna word that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I would word it.
so if we walk through this, programming, could you see that as an area? Like that was one of the things that in our 5-year plan, they said people were real high on programming.
Can you go into a little more detail since
What
I'm the new
programming
PM?
was?
Yep.
It was the idea of doing services or activities in the parks, like the park
Park program,
program
things
would be
for
an
the
example.
youth.
Pilot music.
But this could also have something to do with coordinating with the Y, because the Y is looking at coming in here and
Yeah.
providing services. So this person might be the liaison with that planning committee that's on board right now, trying to figure out how would the Y fit into the community. So, because that then makes a nice connection. Yes.
Jerry, on that thought, the programming, Attica Wrecking will also work with the park board with the programming, because we're already doing quite a bit now. So
Really cool.
if we
Yeah.
want to do like a combined meeting some night and like go over what we can do to help each other.
Yeah.
Because
We actually talked about
we've got like the softball league, the co-ed softball league in the fall, and we're gonna do some other stuff earlier. And we've got like workout stuff going on right now, so,
That's really excellent. I've been hearing that. Well, of course, I've been hearing it from my daughter.
right.
But yeah, it sounds like you've been doing some really good stuff.
Softball's my favorite. I don't want to see that leave.
It won't.
That was so much
That was a
fun.
great thing to start.
Oh
Yeah,
my
we're-
gosh, that
We're
was
gonna
so
be
fun.
expanding it this year, so, yeah.
Oh, I was hoping you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
With how many Williamsport people we had, honestly, if we were able to utilize both fields, like if we were able to get somehow Warren County in it with us and we were able to play in Williamsport and in Attica, we'd have even more teams. I mean, I think it really was a great thing. And I had talked to Mary and she had said there were even people she was having to turn away because the teams were full. So I think that's great. That turned
Plus,
out
I think
really
it had a really good launch. So now people are gonna know
Yeah.
about the community.
Right.
So, yeah.
And we're wanting to get more stuff down to Ravine Park as well.
Yeah.
So when we do our side-by-side this year, we won't be starting out at Hunter Hill, we're gonna be starting at Ravine and doing the whole area around here.
And so in thinking about that, like now then there would be the committee chair who's the grant person, right? In some ways, this notion that right now we've got 2 new playgrounds that have gone in, the one that was just paid for down at Wabachi, but then a new playground going in at the baseball field, and then 2 reconditioned playgrounds going in. You start putting that into, say, a 3-year plan of saying we're doing services, we're doing playground renovation, we're doing safety upgrades, we're doing signage, we're trying to do something in the trails and the bridges. And then you start listening to what's anybody else doing in the community, like the services that different, and then you start writing a Lilly grant.
Now, would that be something that we would have to change in the 5-year plan, Jerry?
Hang on.
Doesn't she know you're in a meeting?
This is my daughter calling.
Doesn't she know we're in a meeting? You're in a meeting.
Hello there, we're in the meeting.
Hi.
Hi, Mary.
That's okay. But we were just talking about the softball
We were just
and
talking-
all the different services that Rec is talking about. So we want to extend a thank you to you and to every member of the Rec committee that's doing this, so the Rec outfit. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
that's long then.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay. And
Thank you guys.
See
Sorry
you,
for
Mary.
interrupting.
that's all right. I'll talk to you later tonight. Love you.
Okay,
Bye.
Becky, bye.
And I got a bye from Lana, too.
Bye, Grandpa.
Okay, so you see, these things would dovetail pretty easily, I think. So you'd have a committee that's of grants, you've got a committee of programming, and then there was another one that was a committee of advertising, which is, as been said, we've been doing this really, but without specifically naming it. All right. So advertising, and then personal donations, grants, fundraising. So it's not just grants, but it could be any of these different kinds of ways that we begin to coordinate with other people to bring money to the city and to the different efforts as people are trying to do this. A recruitment person, because we always know that we're having trouble. We post something, which advertising would do, but then it doesn't get anybody there. And recruitment might be doing things like, I envision walking around city or Center Park and knocking on doors and leaving playbills or whatever to say, look, can you come and paint the park? Right? The new equipment, the old new equipment, and different things like that, so we can get people showing up and helping us out instead of it feeling like it's just something we do.
That feels a little old school and I like it. A little bit more face to face. It's almost like we're guilting people into helping us. I know someone came to my door and they were like, hey, we need help with playground equipment. I'm like, I'm gonna feel guilt for days if I don't come. So I like that.
I was thinking, how cool on top of that if they were all high school kids.
Yeah.
That we got volunteers,
But
high school kids running around handing out the pamphlets.
And that could be part of the recruitment too, getting in contact with NHS leaders and student council leaders,
Yeah.
which I know a couple of wives that I could probably talk to at the school that lead groups like that. And I think, isn't that in charge of the seniors too? No, they have to have
Not the senior, she's not in charge of that, but
the senior. Her bulletin board is always senior stuff. So I always think she's like the senior class sponsor.
and she might be.
She
I don't
wears a
think
lot of
that
hats.
we
that's-
So I'm just thinking like the senior class, they have to have so many hours of volunteer work before they get to graduate. And so that person could kind of be in charge of facilitating a little bit of that too.
Well, and the guidance counselor, Stacy Matter, was telling me that there's a new law or regulation, don't know which, that the kids that are on certain pathways, all of them have to do 70 some volunteer hours before they graduate in order to graduate. So there's going to be a steady number
Increase of
kids
kiddos that
that
need
way.
these
Yeah.
hours.
And with 70 hours, that's stretching it over many days of probably more like 3 or 4 hours at a crack. And that's where I think having someone that's responsible for recruitment and Excel sheets and all that kind of stuff is going to be important. Figuring out what kind of tools would be necessary, what goes in the pamphlet says, be sure you bring a shovel when you come, different things like that, right? So, yeah, I didn't think of any others, but maybe someone can think of, well, but what about this? We should have this. Is there at this point, any committee chair that hasn't, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, that's recruit. Okay, that would be 4. And we don't, okay, so there's not anything in there actually for parks. So make that 5, right? Parks, that would be the trails and the playgrounds and all that sort of stuff. So that would be 5, or we can break that into wild areas and more manicured areas, and that would be 5 and 6, and that pretty well gets all of us.
So,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Twilight music thing's a lot of work. I mean, I love doing it, but I'm saying that in itself is a lot of work.
Probably make it 1.
I think you could make it one because
Sorry, what do you mean is as one?
the Twilight music,
Oh, yeah.
that program is a lot of work. I mean, you don't have just the music, you have the vendor also.
Yeah.
So you have more than that, and then the preparation of getting it ready and stuff. I mean, there's a lot just to that. Could you make that one of the?
Yeah, so whereas programming is a whole lot of things on a really we should maybe just pull one out in particular, which is the musical arts.
Yeah, really.
And have that be a chair. Is
Yeah,
that
I
what you're
do. I
thinking?
really do. Yeah.
Okay. So we could make parks 1, and then we can
Yeah,
make
arts,
music
which is
music
trails.
arts
Okay.
1.
Okay.
All right, so that would be essentially an amendment. Okay, so
Do we need to vote on that, Jerry?
I
If
think
it's an
to an
amendment,
amendment, yeah.
If, oh wait, do I need to make a motion or do we just vote aye?
Someone would be saying, I wish to make an amendment, someone would second that, because if they don't second it, it dies, and then you vote.
So wait a minute, you said you had 6 different ones?
Yep.
Okay, so you have grants, programming, advertising, fundraising, is that different from recruitment?
The fundraising for grants, personal donations, et cetera, that's.
So you have grants for one,
that's-
so is that not separate from this?
Going on that line where it says chairpersons, the first one I have is programming.
Uh-huh.
And the second one would be advertising.
Mhm.
Number 3 would be fundraising for grants, personal donations, et cetera. Number 4 would be recruitment, chairperson. Number 5 would be parks and development.
Mhm.
Number 6 would be musical arts. And the amendment is to add musical arts as number
Okay.
6.
I will second Jerry's amendment.
Okay. let's see.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Good.
So, Jerry, my next question is, you said that we have to have a president, we have to have a secretary. So do we want to vote on those 2 positions now to make sure that we secure those?
That seems reasonable. Okay.
Yeah. And then we can go forth with all of the positions? Okay, I would like to nominate Jerry Mattern as president.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
We have had vice president in the past, even though it's not necessarily mandated, because just like now, this was a good thing to have a vice
I
president.
think it's good we stop.
Yeah,
We'd still have a vice president?
okay. So by general consensus, we'll say it's a vice president included in this. So would anyone wish to nominate a vice president? And keep in mind, it can be more than one person. And it just requires a second. So someone nominates and then someone else says, yep, I agree. And then we see if there's any more nominations. Okay, and then we vote on each nomination. Okay, so nominations are open now for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Eli.
Is there a second on that
Yeah,
nomination?
Eli.
What?
Are you okay with that?
I was gonna nominate Casey, but
I was gonna nominate Casey too.
I don't know.
If you
Okay.
still want it, Josh, you don't
I'll
want it.
take, yeah.
Are you respectively
I will
declining?
respectfully, I appreciate that.
Okay. All right.
I told you you're gonna be president
I know, I
of
guess
the
it starts with
US.
vice
I keep
president.
telling you he's gonna be president of the United States someday.
Aw.
So,
As long as
Some guy
I
work
have
his way up.
Jerry, I'm okay.
Okay, so there's been a motion, a nomination for vice president would be Casey. Are there any other, and it was seconded, are there any other nominations? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of Casey being vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
so who's the first person that motioned that?
Let's see.
Well,
Eli motioned
Okay.
and
Because Alan say the second? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the last position then would be secretary. And this is always kind of, for me, a conflictual thing because it's one of the most necessary things on the board, and it's also work, every single board meeting. It's
well, we have one person who does a really good job at it.
Yeah.
That's true.
I nominate Nancy. I second.
And Nancy, are you willing to accept that
I guess
nomination?
I am.
Okay. All right, are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Nancy as secretary signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, then that passes, so we now have our 3.
This is fantastic. Jerry, you take over. Makes me nervous. I don't know the rules.
Okay, now we go to committee persons. You know, I was wondering, people may really kind of be interested in a particular niche, and rather than go through nominations to start with, if you guys are okay with people saying, I like this one, and I think we're all big enough to kind of compromise and move and so on, right? So we'll start with just a consensus of who would like to volunteer for what, and kind of keep track of that somehow, and then we'll see if it works out just at that level, okay?
Can you go into detail maybe what it all, each of those entail?
Sure.
Because I'm not familiar with it, wouldn't be familiar.
Okay,
with it.
so starting
We'll just
with,
throw one on you, how's
Yeah.
that?
so beginning with programming is going to be activities.
Is that gonna be like park program too?
It includes
Yes.
park program.
Okay.
So that's a big one because the park program's really big. But it also, I think, is going to include acting as a liaison with other activity planning organizations here. Okay, so rec, Y, different things like that. So that's programming.
That's the one I really want, sorry.
Okay, so that one's yours.
That's the one I really want.
Okay, so we're gonna at least put next to that Casey. Is there anyone else dying to do that? Okay, so we're
Sorry,
kind of, alrighty.
No, that's good.
Now, the next one is gonna be advertising, and this is gonna be the social, what do we call this? I'm an old man. Social.
Social media.
Social media, yep. But it could include other things as well. And it certainly has a lot to do with trying to, get people aware of what we're doing. So there may be some new insights from that person about how we need to make our face known when we're trying to recruit, when we're trying to do whatever. How do we get that information out? Because right now we may not have the right platforms entirely, partly, but not entirely. So that's kind of a growth area of not just maintaining, but expanding how we're going to be more intentional.
Whoever that person is, I also am the one that's in charge of the Facebook page right now. So whoever takes that role, I will make sure that you have the password and things so that you can also, we can maybe man it together. Justin did a lot on the page as well. So the two of us together, we were able to like answer questions, get things posted. Nancy, did you ever get the password and stuff to get upload the pictures? I wasn't sure.
I just sent them to you guys. You guys
So
did it.
whoever decides to take that, that'll probably be something that I'll share with you. And I'm happy to share that responsibility of the social media aspect because it can get very overwhelming, especially when you already have your own social media and then you got to kind of toggle back and forth. And people do use that as a way to connect to the board, like through Messenger. So there are messages that you have to answer. So whoever takes that role on, will just know that we'll be doing that together.
I'm interested in that too.
You're interested?
Hey, I have several areas I'm interested in, but
Okay.
that's one of them.
Yeah, and I think that, a person could be saying, and I'd kind of like to be semi-co-chair or something, or at least I want you to know I'm real interested in helping
Yeah.
with this part. Okay, so Ellen would be saying, I'm interested in advertising. Is there anybody else that's dying to do it? Okay.
I'm willing to help you if
And
you end up
Casey
taking
is
that.
kind of a subset of help. Okay. Now fundraising, as we've alluded to a little bit ago now, fundraising is an effort to do more with what we have. So it's not just and only to fundraise for a project that we're interested in, but it's to be a partner in other places, other activities available throughout where we might be throwing some money that direction to help somebody else with what they're doing, and then we're coordinating what's happening with the whole picture. So fundraising will be a real interesting, I think, a people person job too. It's not just writing grants or whatever, but it'll be thinking, how do you interact with this whole group of possible folks? Honestly, I was thinking about you, Eli, for that, but I didn't know how you felt about that.
I was kind of eyeing the recruitment one.
Okay,
Um,
well,
But-
tell us now. Everybody so far has gotten what they wanted, so if that's what you're interested in. let's
well, the
go
only
ahead.
reason I said recruitment is because you were talking about like the high school students going around. I
Yes.
still know a lot of the high school. I'm only 2 years removed.
Mhm.
I still know a lot of the older kids, and I'm still pretty close with Annette and
Yeah,
Mrs.
it's
Matt.
kind of a
I still
natural.
don't call her.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think I could do some good work there, but I'm not against doing fundraising either.
Well, and you could be a secondary, I was, you're brand new, so we get to throw this on you.
Well, I was gonna say, I would even, on both of those, would maybe split responsibilities with him as
Yeah.
well. On
You're-
both of
I'll
those.
do both
You're a
those.
great
Yeah.
people person. As soon as he said that, I was like,
Yeah.
Tony Crane, I feel
Yeah.
like that's,
Yeah.
he's the man for that.
Okay, so here we're kind of looking at Eli slash Tony for each of those, and maybe, Tony, would you be willing to be point person on fundraising?
Sure.
Okay, and Eli would be point person on recruitment, but you guys are kind of seeing yourselves as also assisting each other.
Mhm.
Okay, sounds like a winner.
Jerry, what are you interested in? I guess we're all kind of taking these positions. We haven't,
That's okay. I think it sort of falls the parks, that first part of the parks, I'm hoping is going to be done by June if some things go right for us. Okay. And the second part of the parks is bridges and pathways, which I kind of think you and I might collaborate on,
I
right?
would
Where
love
you're
that.
taking the lead on it, but we're talking to each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we go with Jerry and Ellen. The other thing that I'm thinking about is, you'll recall when the thought of trying to create bike paths through town using alleyways.
Mhm.
And then perhaps even being able to integrate that into the Erie Canal, raised portion of the Erie Canal, the towpath. And then perhaps, seeing how that goes with the work that they're doing along the stretch of the river and what Covington's already accomplished.
Blue Bay.
Yeah, the Blue Way.
Mhm.
So this is another example of how we're kind of thinking if we could piece this and that and this with what other people are doing.
Yeah.
That again is where the fundraising, that collaboration type of thing is really important. So I could imagine that in maybe the second half of the year, if things go as I hope they would, I might start looking at trying to make that bike path on where it all goes online. And there's people that can assist us with that. And so then it would end up that we would have real people could activate that and just go from point to point to point all over town to things like our art stuff and to maybe some of our outstanding older homes and different things like that. Plus they would have the bike path.
Yeah.
So that would be all done as a part of our website.
Mhm.
And that's the thing is, so that goes back to visibility. Are we a part of the Attica website, Attica City, which would be okay if it's cross-referenced and then boom, it goes right over to us and with us, so how many different websites do we need to be cross-linked with
Mhm.
so that if somebody's looking at
That's
this,
really
oh,
cross
by
it
the
with your
way.
guys's too.
Yeah,
Well, if it goes onto the city, it will automatically cross to everything.
Mhm.
Because they have it set up where it's all somehow,
Attica
I don't
Parks.
understand it, but it goes out to everything.
Yeah, it does.
The one thing I was gonna ask you, Jerry, you're doing all these committees, can we get two people that will be the same two people each time with the Y meetings?
What the
Because
Y means.
we've been, Mary and I have been working on this, and I know you know quite a bit about it. But if we had the same two people, so we could contact them directly and say, hey, look, this is when the next meeting is, and time and everything.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we had to keep going through Justin, because we didn't know who was.
I started going through the white meetings, but I don't know when they are anymore, so.
Well, the last month was just a tour to see all
Because I
of
went to
the
the first one.
facilities that is available for the programming. Because they're not gonna build or do anything until they have buy-in from the city showing them.
Right.
and on that meeting, because I was supposed to be at that
too,
meeting.
yeah.
So I went to the first initial meeting and then I was supposed to be at the second meeting and I received an email saying that it was canceled.
Right, I sent that out.
And so then I talked to Stacy and Stacy said, no, we absolutely had the meeting.
No.
We took
Yeah.
a tour around.
No,
I was
it
like,
wasn't-
what?
it
I
wasn't a
was supposed to
meeting.
be
Okay.
there.
No, it wasn't a meeting, it was just a tour that day.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
tour of all the properties that are available, like the VFW, the old thrift store here.
And they also visited the old elementary school, correct?
No.
Okay.
No, but we visited the church out that's in the old nursing home.
Yep.
And several other, I think there was six places altogether,
Okay.
so.
Gotcha.
Okay, then. Well, so Casey, as both because you're interested and you've already done it, and because that really feels like a programming
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I would love to be that person.
Okay,
And I can give you my cell phone number. That way you're able to contact me directly.
okay. And then they're wanting 2 people from each of the groups that we're doing. So is there someone else that
I'll go to those. I don't mind at all.
do what?
So I'll go to those. I don't mind at all.
Perfect.
I
Thank you,
usually,
Nancy.
And that really fits kind of your personality anyway, Nancy, where you like to put things together. So what the heck, you could kind of be like, it's looking like we're getting doubles in almost every chair. So maybe you're a double in the program.
Hey,
No.
girl, come on over.
Does that sound okay to you,
we
Nancy?
have to somebody Ellen then.
Okay. All righty. And Ellen, right, so we got a triple on program. Okay,
We're building you over here. So.
all right. Well, this feels exciting to me. This feels like motion. Okay, so we're good with, we've kind of talked about this as a consensus. Could we have a motion from somebody that says that we assigned, actually, I'll put the words and then someone is actually gonna have to be sponsoring it. So we've got programming, where Casey, Nancy, Ellen, with Casey at Point. We've got advertising with Ellen and Casey with Ellen at Point. We've got fundraising with Tony and Eli with Tony at Point. We've got recruitment with Eli and Tony with Eli at Point. We have parks and development with Jerry and Ellen, Jerry at Point. And 6 would be music arts, which would be Nancy at Point.
You didn't ask.
All right.
He didn't even ask.
You'll be fine. You did great in it last time, Nancy.
Yeah, you did great, Twilight.
Okay, yeah, and really, and saved money. Some of that money went to parks.
We saved $3,000. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, so would anyone care to make that motion? I don't know that the president can.
I will make that motion for
Okay.
those chairs people.
All right. And is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, all good. I would like to update, at this point, we really have a kind of a relaxed agenda. With your agreement, I'd like to give you some updates on what happened with money and stuff, okay? All right, so Joanne approached the council to encumber, and that's where you get to hold on to your 2025 and move it into 2026. But to encumber, you have to name a particular vendor. So you couldn't, unfortunately, you can't then turn around and say, oops, wrong vendor, going to do a new vendor. You have to encumber to a particular vendor. So this could be troublesome for us. In the first case, Circle Park, a PO, a purchase order, was sent to Triple I State of Play to go ahead and install the playset B in Circle Park and to excavate an L shape for playset A, which will include the playset A and 3 equipment pieces. It doesn't include the swing set. So we're all good for, that's going. That just has to get scheduled and it's gonna be happening. We gotta get volunteers to help, assemble the playset A, but the company is doing playset B, everything. And there'll be mulch in playset B, so that's all square. But what we'll have up by Ravine, up there in the toddler park, or whatever we want to call it, is a hole, basically,
Oh, what?
an L-shaped hole.
Okay.
And that's gonna be there until we put borders around it and mulch in it.
Where's that at, Jerry?
That's right up where the 3 gardens, 3 raised, the beds,
Yes.
raised beds.
Okay.
It'll go right there. It should be really sweet. It's gonna be entirely toddler, right? Everything in there is gonna be for toddler age. And there's, of course, the cover for parents to sit in, granddads or whoever. And there's a faucet there, and there's trash. Everything's there. It's really nice.
It's
So-
like electricity. Someone told me there's not electricity there when you do it there.
Not that big. So, what'll have to happen is that we'll have to assemble that with volunteers. City's gonna dig holes for us to put the poles in. And then we have to put in the borders and the mulch. And then over on the swing set, we put the borders and the mulch. And then that playground's ready to go, except for paint.
Will that be inspected?
Yes,
Okay.
everything we do is gonna have to be inspected, so that the city knows it's been properly installed and there can be no complaints about that. One of the things I'd like to propose is maybe I have the inspector come in early, because I went over all that and figured out here's what it's gonna do and here's how we should do it and all that, and I think I'm like 95% sure it's right. But I'd like to have an inspector come in and look at everything and say, yes, it's right. This is where you should put the mulch. This is how deep you should put the mulch. This is how big you should be putting the enclosure around it. And like I said, I think I'm right. But I really would like to have an inspector say that in a report. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I trust you, Gary. I think that you've done a great job, but yeah, I think that having an inspector is probably best.
And then when everything's done, then the inspector comes in and says, all done.
Okay.
And then we're all square. Now, here's the good news, so is that when we started, we had about, I don't know, close to 37. We had about 37,000 is what we had left, roughly, and maybe 40. But at any rate, we got that in, and that's in at 45,000. That's all taken care of plus because of the funds that Eric was willing to switch over to us. The rest was going to go to the mulch and borders, and it was a nice price. It was about 59,000, and so I was all set to go with that. We wrote to him, says you're good, you're in. You guys had we'd all approved it, all good. And then I was looking at the quotes again before we sent out the PO, and one of the quotes it wasn't completed properly. So I wrote and called and spoke with the representative. I said, you're locked into your quote. Do you want it? Do you want to stand by your quote or not? Because remember, we've encumbered to them. So if they stand by their quote, we're ready to go. If they don't stand by their quote, that money can't be used until an appropriation this year. So it's
Did they stand by it?
she's been trying. I'll
Okay.
give her that. She's been in
Okay.
touch with me 3 or 4 times now, and so I wanted to give her her head, do whatever she could do to get this done, and not pressure her. Add one more pressure for getting it done. Because it has to be at that quote, otherwise it's unfair to everybody else at quote. And they have to provide the same services, or else it would be unfair. So that's what she's got to live with, and can she have enough profit on that to pull it off? This is my words, not hers, but I'm sure that's it.
Did she take something out, or?
She did. All of the mulch had to be installed by blowing it in, and she had 4 of the 5 quotes where it was blowing in, and 1 didn't have it blown in. And so when I pointed that out, that raised the price by another 13,000, which put her at above. It now made her the second lowest quote. So if you can do it for your quote, it'll stand. But if you can't do it for your quote, then we can't have you negotiate with us or mid-price or anything like that. It has to stand, because that's when all the quotes came in, was at that opportunity. So we do have a quote that we could turn to, and this is what we'll have to talk about as a board later, depending on whether she can stand by the quote. If she can, we're ready to roll. If she can't, then we'll have to go to Plan B. But we do have a quote standing that's a decent quote, but it's more.
What's her time frame to get back with you?
She was going to get back to me yesterday. And what she was waiting for, she was trying to recruit vendors that would blow in for cheaper. provide the mulch and blow in for cheaper than what her quote had been. So, well, that's me reading between the lines, but there was nothing, I don't know, maybe she was finding other ways that she could cut other parts and then in total could hit it. I don't know. We haven't had a conversation about what her strategy was, only that the quote had to stand.
Can I ask one more? And I don't mean to just drag this on. I just for long.
Sure.
I don't even understand what that means to blow in the
Oh,
mulch
well,
as
they-
opposed to.
There are a couple different things. One could be just to dump it, and then you'd have
Somebody
people
spread it.
physically spread it
Okay.
out. Apparently, blowing it in has some benefit to how it settles, and so it comes in loosely. It's not all chunky, and so it's more comfortable for the kids to play in. And then it settles down more uniformly. All the way around. It's the same level instead of some being a foot and some being 3 inches and that sort of stuff because of how it's compressing. So blowing in seemed to be the kind of the state of the art, the way you do it.
Okay.
And so everybody quoted on blowing in, and so did she, except she left one out.
Okay.
The biggest part.
Yeah, the biggest one.
She left the biggest part out.
Yeah. So we'll see, and hopefully, but if not, then we'll have to. As Joanne puts it, the money is still there. It's kind of like you could almost think of it as a savings account. It's still there, but it's not. We can't use it. So until we appropriate, until the council would agree and the state would agree to an appropriation, and then we can use it.
Could we, and I'm just thinking out loud, if she comes back and she's like, oh, I can't find it to match that quote, like what I gave you initially, can we still have her do 4 out of the 5 and still spend our money? Or do we have to, since it was appropriated in that amount, do we have to pay that amount?
Well, as I'm thinking about this, because I hadn't thought of it quite that way, since she does some part of it, but I think I would be thinking, what is an ethical, fair way to treat all vendors who have quoted?
Okay,
And if
makes sense.
everybody says here, and then we ended up eliminating, because we had 6 people quote, eliminating 5, and then they come back and say, well, now how is it you're letting her do this part, but we get this part? I mean, I want all of it.
Yeah,
And why am I not getting all of it?
yeah.
Mhm.
I hadn't thought about it that way.
So that's why I told her it has to stand. The quote you gave is the quote you gave. You can't negotiate and say, well, all right, we made a mistake, but so we'll just cut you a deal. And I said, no, you can't cut us a deal. You've got to stand with your quote, just like everybody else submitted their quotes and they're standing by their quotes. So that's how that works.
So you can't just do part.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So we'll see. I mean, it would be really great. I know she really wants to be able to stand by the quote, so we'll see. All right. Before we finish everything up, you guys can kind of take a tour, or after we finish everything up, to kind of look at some of the pictures of what was thought about. And then we've got 2 big ones, easier to see what was thought about in terms of what that was going to look like down there. When it was, the mayor said it's gone through multiple iterations, and what we'd be looking at would still not be. It isn't like we put the playground exactly where they thought it was going to go. So you can't just take it and lay the plan down and say, okay, well now we'll do it the way it was figured out, because you can't. It's not made that way anymore. But it does give us a lot of ideas about particular plants that you might want to use, and it looks at how you might use brickways. It looks at where you might want to put in a parking lot. So different things like that lets us have ideas that, like Justin was saying, don't throw out everything that's been thought about. Try to go with the way things have been thought about, and even for future, if we want to put in the great big
Pavilion.
where you get to sing and dance and stuff. Anybody know a word here? Looking for a word
Or
bigger than a bread
theater,
box.
Amphitheater.
amphitheater. There we
That's the
go.
word. No.
Had the second word, not the first word.
Yeah, so I mean, that was originally thought of. And again, see, that might be part of Blue Water Project, is thinking about that amphitheater down there. So we want to be thinking about the work that's already been done and say, look here, the whole bunch of money went into this to figure this out. And so we're supporting this.
And I have a question real quick on that park, because we had a couple of people asking about the park down there. And I was under the understanding that it was not completed yet. Is that correct?
The playground part,
Yes.
all of the pieces, as far as I know, are in it. Yeah, they're
But
installed.
like the outer areas and
Yes.
all that still needs to be
Yeah.
constructed and
Well,
all
all of
that
that
jazz.
outer areas is up to us.
Did anybody check on the parking? We were talking about trying to get a
There
parking
is
area.
there's a parking lot that was kind of considered, and we can look at that on the big picture and see what you think.
Okay.
And, but things have been rearranged, so we'd be sort of thinking, okay, how would we twist that and where's that go? And then originally the park playground equipment was gonna have big tents over the kids. And that's not there, is it? Or is there
No.
one? Do we have
No.
one
No,
tent down there?
just-
No, not at all, okay. So, but still, the idea of how do we cover parents and grandparents, people who wanna sit and watch their kids and not have to sit under blaring sun, and the kids that come out from under the sun and so on. So there's some things we may wanna look at in terms of landscaping, shading, and, yeah, that was it. And parking, and parking, yeah. So that would be things we'd have to be thinking about in terms of,
I'd like to get some
fundraising.
picnic tables down in that area because a lot of people like to kids down there after they go to McDonald's, go down there and play and eat, and they
Lunch.
want picnic tables.
Mhm.
And I think it'd be a good idea to put some down there.
yeah.
I'll have to
And,
chain them down.
you know, I was looking
I
over,
mean,
Well, there's some down there at the campground thing. They've got some down there.
are they chained down?
They're cemented.
I don't think they
are.
Are they cemented? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I never really looked, but I know there's some
I feel
there.
like that'd be the first thing to either get destroyed or taken. So we
Yeah,
wanna
but I think
find
when you
a
get
way
the
to-
ones that are metal,
Yeah.
those kind, and then they go in cement or whatever, so
Yeah.
I don't think
put a
you could
big
move those.
spike
Yeah.
into the ground. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, as you can see, there's some things ahead of us to be thinking about how to make that look finished instead of look like it just got drawn
Alrighty, yeah.
down and left.
More park-like.
Mhm.
So I that kind of feels like that would be a high item. Okay. So as far as the timeline though, the appropriation typically is not done until the end of the year, which means that the whole project would be delayed by that length of time, or would there be any other way of doing it? And Joanne said she would be more than willing to think through with us, is there any other way to do it before the appropriation, then have the appropriation kind of backfill? So we'll see, you know, because I really would like to have that all done by the time the park program happens.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have all of it done, so it doesn't look like there was preference toward any one of the playgrounds. Now, it'll still happen over about a 3 to 4 month period, but still, that's, I feel reasonable as opposed
And I
to.
feel like it's reasonable to want it done before park program for the safety of the kids. I feel like that's number one. And I know you just said not to put priority on the parks, but Irving Park kind of gets priority there, I feel like.
There's a lot that happens and a lot to be proud of at Ravine Park.
Absolutely.
So it's good to, I think it makes sense to have that be one of the different flagships of the city. Toward that end, our Eagle Scout asked how we're coming with answering his questions about putting in a sign. I actually don't know what size sign. So I sent a copy of his questions over to Eric to see what Eric can answer. And then we'll see, because he'd like to get on that in the spring. And so we'll get started up on that now, because that was kind of a transition thing that went to Justin. Justin was leaving, so now we do.
And I think he has a timeline,
Yeah.
the guy or the boy does.
So as soon as I find
Before he
back
gets
from
married.
Eric what he knows, then we'll bring him up to speed on that. Because I didn't know much about it at all, and I thought Eric would. Okay, one of the things is that racket set and go. I don't know where they are with this. I recommended to them that night to contact the school and to see whether the school, Tony, racket set and go is a some folks that would like to provide lessons to people for tennis and
Okay.
potentially for pickleball. And so they approached us last month about can they use the facility? And then there was discussion back and forth about, well, how much would you use it? Would that get in the way of public access?
Mhm.
And so it sounded pretty okay.
Mhm.
I think that was the general consensus, that it didn't look like it was gonna just, use up the public time. And it would provide a service, a reasonably inexpensive service for people to get private instruction or group instruction. But I haven't heard from them. I'll follow up with them now. But I also thought that maybe the school with its new courts would be a good place too, as a spillover or even their primary place. So I asked them to contact Dr. Williams, and the last I'd heard from them, which was admittedly 2 or 3 weeks ago, they hadn't yet. So little by little, these different tasks, rather than being president, will go, like this kind of thing would probably be an activity. Right? This would go to programming and so on. So at each meeting, we'll kind of say, well, here's what's popped up. And so does this go over here? And by the way, does that actually have to include fundraising too? That way we can sort of think about it. The 5-year plan, remember, there are edits that are necessary for that to be used for funding. And it's possible, I could imagine that we just, maybe next board meeting, take half an hour and give edits to different folks and see that we write up the edit. Get it done, or at least see what else needs to be done. If we, oh gosh, that's gonna take some research, well, at least we'll know it. Okay, so let me check, because that stuff is in the drive, is in the park board drive. Do you get access? Are you able to get into the park board
I
drive?
haven't.
You'll have to approve us.
I thought you
I was
were,
at
yeah.
one point, but not anymore.
I was at 1.2, but as soon as you exit it and then you go back in it,
It starts
then
all over with the
then
security.
you have to do it all
Yeah.
over again, and then you have to go texting back and forth with us.
So I've been trying to get in
Thanks,
touch with
man.
Google and see, instruct me, what do I need to do here so that it's open to all members? Because otherwise, the drive's not much use to us.
Right.
No, it's not.
So I will follow through on that.
Jerry, I think Mary set ours up for Attica Recreation Week, so
To-
she may be able to help. I think she did. Did she need some?
I think she did. I
Yeah.
think she did.
I think she set ours.
So you guys
up.
can all
Either
get
her or
into
Courtney,
it.
but I
Yeah.
think she might have.
Yeah.
Okay, kid.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead.
Sounds like a matter.
Yeah,
I will ask her. Thank you for that.
it's either her or Courtney, but I
It was
think
either her
she,
Courtney,
yeah.
but I think it was
I
Mary.
think it was
Okay. I'll ask,
Because we can all get into it,
and that's what we want to be.
yeah.
Okay. The other signage, a couple of things I was thinking about for when we renovate the parks. The one up there by Ravine, we might want to put up on the hill of Ravine for the toddler. We might put something that designates a toddler park or something like that.
Like an age limit.
Yeah, just something with a fun, nice map on it.
even name it.
Picture.
Toddler Park or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that too.
The other one is down in Ravine down low, all the old stuff that's next to the new stuff. I was thinking, if we got that all painted and looking pretty sharp, we could call that retro build.
Retro Park,
And
retro.
put something like, this is the playground your grandparents played on.
That's cute.
Mhm.
I like that.
Something like that, right? So we can start creating these spaces that have themes.
I like it.
And see if we can't make that more lively. I'm also thinking the bridge that's down there, that's, if we're wanting to make Ravine look prettier, that bridge needs replaced big time.
It does. As a matter of fact, there was parts of it fallen in that we even put back together when we went down to the sign.
So
We had to
I was
nail it
wondering,
in.
maybe there's enough money for one bridge and a little bridge. And do that.
Yeah.
And then continue to fundraise for the other 2 bridges that are still at least in place.
Yeah, I can ask that.
And if that little bridge got done when all these other things like signage and mulch and paint, that would be a heck of a Nice, nice upgrade.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm envisioning, and then that's followed quickly on the heels of what's happening in the baseball park and so on. So
So do we want to have Ellen see if she can get a
Well, for
quote from
the one in
above it for that
yeah,
bridge?
I can do that.
everybody okay with that?
Yeah, great.
All right. Let's see. Anything else?
I had something I wanted to ask about.
Sure.
Weren't we supposed to be doing some signage down here by Cockrell Village for,
We are, and
and are we forgetting about that? Because we really need to do
we
that.
really ought to
That's a
do
big
that.
donation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a big donation, so.
So originally those signs, the posts were supposed to kind of point out things along the path. And I did have somebody already tell me the other day how much they enjoyed that signage just in Ravine that says about how Ravine came to be.
Where
So
are they being stored right now? We
The
have
city building, because
Okay.
Justin had them,
Okay.
and Justin was supposed to get them to Eric.
So I don't know if we're gonna repurpose those for those types of signs,
Mhm.
instead of them going on the trail and saying, here's this particular something you might wanna know, which is,
So I think we can do that.
I don't think we can.
They haven't even been put up ever, so I think they have to be put up.
I-
I can't repurpose them because they're part of the,
Because they're part of that grant, so I
Yeah.
think it
Oh,
has
grant
to
that they
be
did.
that exact thing.
has to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then we've gotta figure out how we're gonna do, some of our money is gonna have to go toward signage. The Welcome to Ravine that the Eagle Scouts doing, they're kind of expecting our financial support for the materials and so on. And And yeah, I wasn't entirely clear on that, but I could appreciate that, what that might cost to put that in place. And then the signage, as you say, for that addition that was given to us.
Mhm.
Those two things seem to me real important to do. And then if we do talk about those two other signs for the little changes in the parks, we're talking about some money to go towards signage. Okay, so these are just things that are kind of in the future, but are the things that cross my mind. Now, last year we did something, Justin had us all kind of thinking, what else is on your mind? What are some of the other things you imagine, keeping in mind what our 5-year plan, that people were really up for parks and programming, those were the two biggest things. And then some aquatics. Some of our programming includes aquatics for the park program. So that's at least starting to get there. But there could be any number of things that we're trying to do that might include a family night, talking, they don't have enough lifeguards. And they're wondering, the school is asking if we would help pay for lifeguard training, which then could be used for family night swimming. Because currently family night has people playing basketball, volleyball, and so on. But why not expand to family night swimming too? But we have to have staff
they used to.
for that.
They used to, didn't they?
Yeah, they actually posted that they are opening the pool tomorrow. I don't know, I would assume legally they would have to have a lifeguard there
Yeah.
because we weren't allowed to have the park program there without, there's a certain amount of kids per lifeguard. And so that has to be all figured out. So I'm not sure exactly how, I'm planning on going tomorrow night to family night because I'm on a volleyball team, but I'm not sure exactly how all of that's gonna work. I haven't talked to Brian Duncan or he usually runs things, so.
Yeah, the biggest crunch was personnel.
Oh, I'm sure that was our biggest hang up during park program is we couldn't find lifeguards. I had to contact kiddos from Seeger because none of the Attica kiddos had lifeguard. They weren't certified. And I don't know if that is simply because we don't have a city pool or if that's just not something that's needed as much. The lifeguards that we did end up getting for park program were actually also employed at the country club. So the Harrison Hills Club, that was how I found them.
Cool.
I just called the manager and I said, hey, help me. Can I have the phone numbers for your lifeguards? And she did. She gave them to me and we got 2 great lifeguards. I will be contacting them again for this park program season. Hopefully they both graduated. So hopefully they will come back. Fingers crossed.
Well, one of the reasons I think it's tough to get the kids is it's a fairly extensive training, quite a few hours involved.
And it's not cheap.
It was pretty close to 300
I would
ahead.
say $300. Yeah.
So they were looking at two different programs that would do it, and the one up at Purdue was more likely to actually happen, but it was a lot of hours. Okay, so back, what are things anybody's thinking that are kind of near and dear to their heart, they've been thinking about, want to be sure happen, if at all possible, this year?
I think we're doing some great stuff already. I mean, I'm excited about the park, upgrading the parks and everything. I'm excited about that. So I think we're working really hard,
Yeah.
getting a lot done, I think. I feel like so.
Something that's always near and dear to my heart is the park program. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And Reed Goodwin did decide to not be the assistant director this year. And I do have someone in mind that I think would be a great replacement. And that is Mariah Wilson. She took a teaching position as an aide at the high school this year. I've heard great things about her at the school, and she will be looking for summertime work since she will not be getting paid over the summer. And I mentioned this to her, and she was extremely interested. She also has the age of kiddos that attend the park program. She's usually pretty involved in things. She's the PTO president. I think that she'd be a great candidate. And I wanted to bring up her name so that maybe that's something we can discuss at our next meeting. I'm not sure if that is something, do we go out and, I feel like last year we just kind of said, oh, Reed would be a great assistant, and we offered him that position. I didn't know if this was something now, but Reed was also a counselor. Is this something that we open up? Do we take interviews for that position? Do we ask her to come in and answer questions if she is someone? Or is that fair to the community to just say, hey, this is the person that's coming in to answer these questions? Do we post something and open that up?
Are they city employees? Do they end up being city employees?
Yes.
So there may be some rules on how city employees can be hired.
And I'm not sure what those rules are. I will look into that, but I just wanted to kind of mention that so everyone knows that her name is out on the table and she's extremely interested, and I fully support her. And I know that you have a son that plays with her son,
Yeah,
and
she would be great.
I know
She-
Mariah,
I
yeah.
would think we
She'd
would
be
need
great,
to
yeah.
interview just since
But I
we
think
would
you still
interview
have to
for
go
all the
through
other
the-
counselors, but
yeah.
she would 100% be great.
Yeah,
I think
she
she
would
would too.
be, yes. But I still think you have to go through the process.
yeah. Yeah.
With anybody.
Well, and
You have to make it open.
Yeah.
To other,
And that's already true for all of the counselors, the
It is,
junior
yeah.
counselors.
yeah, so you have
And
to, yeah.
that would be true then, I guess, for both of the leaders.
Okay. So then do we post those annually?
I would think
Yeah.
that would be the appropriate thing to do. Otherwise, people who have an interest, unless we approach them, they don't even know that it's,
Right.
what do I do? How do I do it? Oh, you mean there's a job like that? That type of thing, I think.
Well, since Morgan has been it for years, do we let her know we're posting it, or does she automatically get it again? I think in the
I
past it just kind of
Yeah,
automatically.
she did kind of automatically get it. And I that's why I'm thinking, is that actually compliant with how you hire for
Okay,
the city?
gotcha.
And then, is that actually how we want to do it, or do we want to have the opportunity for new people each year to make their case to us the same way as we do with the youngsters?
Okay.
I think we're making a lot of changes this year, and I think that's probably a good
Yeah.
change.
I think change is great.
Yeah, I think that's a good change to make. I mean, make it fair and open to anybody that we may be surprised at who might come up and be
Yeah.
a better, person for this position or whatever for each position.
I think the same. And for sure, if we're obligated to do it, and if we're not obligated, it may just be good sense.
Yeah, and I have not looked into would I contact Joanne for that? Or who would I contact to
make
kind
sense.
of lay out for me what I
Even
need
if
to
she
do?
didn't know, she'd tell you who.
Oh, I think she probably would be a good person. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
have one thing, sorry, I know we've gone over a little bit, but on our Facebook messages, and then when I was at the library, the director of the library, Brittany Hayes, is wondering if they can do a storybook trail in the trails.
oh, cool.
And it's something that they would be funding. I think they're applying for a grant, but they didn't know if they needed to get our approval and what we thought about it. I thought it was cool.
It does sound.
That sounds
So for,
neat.
it would get more kids going out on walks with their parents, walking the trails, and then there's a story along the way.
And honestly, I don't think there needs to be any approval for that because it's a public trail.
Well, but
So
you're doing stuff on the trail, you might be making changes to
Yeah.
the trail. And so
Yeah.
that should be within our purview, but it sounds like a really good thing to get permission for.
Yeah, I
I like that.
thought it was a neat idea. So
do we need to make a motion for that, Jerry?
I can get more information.
Yeah,
from
more
her.
so then
Yeah.
the presentation, what it would
Mhm.
be looking like, and then they
Yeah.
have our full full
Okay.
support. And you know, we've had a couple other folks that have come forward and say, I'm really interested in trying to help this out, you know, with the circle that's up in Ravine, and also with kind of the nature down by the river.
Yeah.
And at the time, it felt like somehow we ought to be able to get behind folks when they're saying, I really like to do this, and then it'd say, oh, yeah, great, do it. But how can we get behind it?
Mhm.
When something really makes sense like that, how can we help too? And there may be some times when we don't think it's the best idea what someone wants to do,
Mhm.
but when they say, I really like to, we think it's a really good idea, then not just lay it on them, but also say, here's how we'll help.
Mhm. Yeah. And then
If
my
nothing
next,
else, if you can get them to come back with updates.
Yes,
To
yeah.
keep them encouraged.
And
Come back
have them,
with
by
updates.
this
We'd like
time,
to
they'd
know
have
what's
some
going on.
idea of what it might cost, especially with the circle,
Oh, yeah.
which might have been prohibitive, and maybe we can do something.
Yeah.
and then just sticking on to the trails, when we get into the heart of summer, is how do we maintain the trails better?
Yeah.
Because I really
Weeds.
did not like hearing, and myself,
The weeds, yeah.
you can't walk them.
Yep.
The weeds have completely covered the path.
So here's a thought, and Eric
He's got
discussed
that.
this with me. He actually brought it up. He said he wondered whether he could transfer over to our oversight the trail upkeep, where we would get a line item that already exists, but now it'd be our oversight. So we would be hiring somebody
To
to
Might
keep,
not be
I
a
think
bad
it's
to
idea.
keep the
needed.
trails up, rather than, he said it's really, really tough to get, we'll get the trees cut.
Mhm.
If a tree falls over, we'll do that, but there's just not time to do these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and it seems like Armed Wood side is worse when all
Yes.
the weeds grow.
Yeah.
And just multiple people said, I quit walking them, and that's just so sad to hear.
Yeah, so if we had a lawn care service, then, you know, they just do this all the time, and we go ahead and have them come in and fix everything up every couple of weeks or something like that. And
Yeah,
then,
that's a good idea.
the
I
city
love that
might
idea.
still keep cutting the trees,
Mhm.
right? But
Yeah.
just the general.
But once you trim that back, wouldn't it, like one season, you
Yeah,
trim it back, and I think you would get enough. I even talked to your grandfather one time when that first happened.
Mhm.
I mean, that's right below where I lived. I took about 3 weeks, and during the early spring, I took my blower and just blew the whole trail out. There were so many, but it
Mhm.
took quite a while, and it made a difference because that trail's this wide, and you start
Mhm.
blowing the leaves off, it gets about this.
Yeah,
big. So-
gotcha.
yeah, Mark tells me he does part of his trail up there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I wanted to present that to the board and see
Yeah.
whether we might.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Because it gets a lot of use. I see a lot of people down there. I could just imagine how much more it would get if you got that word out that it's.
And I think it'd be
Cleaned up,
a reasonable expense, and I'd have to double look, but it seems to me that was maybe one of the line items where there was money
Yeah.
that transferred over to us for the park
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fully utilized, they just only have so many staff.
Yeah.
Now, we'd have to be sure it's okay for us to put that into public, hire somebody. I don't know about all those details. That was kind of a brainstorming that Eric brought up at
Yeah.
one of our meetings. But it sure seemed like something
And
to
it's a city
present to the
thing,
board.
Yeah.
And again, wouldn't it be cool that now that's just routinely looking nice? Again, it has people feeling like the parks are getting attention.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
I like it.
So did that plan for the RC park thing fizzle? At the racetrack thing up there?
I haven't
I-
seen
I
it.
have not heard any more from
I mean,
him.
we walked it and it's kind of like they cleaned it off a little bit last summer, but has anything else been said about it?
Yeah, and I think, again, you get into
Yeah,
something
that
like
was-
that and you start finding out just how much work it's gonna be and how much it's gonna cost to bring in bales and get rid of bales.
Starts to get a
all that
little
sort of
crazy.
stuff. Yeah, so that's, maybe the person says, well, if, then it could happen. Do you know, anybody know that person personally?
Who is
I-
it?
His name was in the, I don't have the notes with me, but
Minutes.
it's in the minutes, but yeah.
He seemed like a real great guy, a real
Yeah.
go-getter too. But you're right, Jerry. I mean, things like that start getting real expensive real quick when you get in there and you start doing things. You go, oh, I need this, or oh, I need to get this to do that, X, Y, and Z. So maybe it was just something that he bit off more than he could chew.
So the minutes, I suppose, are all inside the drive?
I would send Jess the minutes and then he'd always say, I didn't get them uploaded, I didn't get them uploaded. So I don't know what's uploaded in the drive at all. I've got copies of all the minutes because that's what I do.
All right, so
I just keep copies of all the minutes. And I'd be happy to just bring copies every meeting for everybody to have so that we wouldn't have to worry about it, but
And
That's what-
Justin also sent the minutes to Joanne, right?
I did.
You
I
did.
sent the
Okay.
minutes to Joanne every month
So
also.
that you have.
Well,
Yeah,
all right, so we're gonna make getting into that drive a priority. That way we can locate everything there and everybody can get at it. So I'll see what my daughter can instruct me about. And we can get that so that we can find these things. And maybe by, so that would be park development. See, if you think about, okay, so now who is the chairperson responsible for this? Well, that'd be Al and I trying to figure out who this guy is and following up on it. So that's how I think this can work. Okay. Would it be okay to adjourn as everyone, and then I'll just show you some of these pictures here?
Yep.
Okay. Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll say.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're good. We're adjourned at what time? 7:20. Oh, it's 7:20.
7:20?
Okay. Over here.